In this video tutorial, we're going to take a look at a wonderful service called TinyTap. First, I want to just tell you about the website. The TinyTap website is tinytap.it. And you can go here to learn more about TinyTap. You can see TinyTap is an app that you can use on Apple devices such as the iPad and the iPhone, but you can also use it on Android devices. And you use TinyTap on these devices to create interactive games, activities, lessons, and quizzes, and books, digital books. And then those things that you create are playable on all three of these platforms. They're playable on Apple devices, they're playable on Google Android devices, but they're also playable on desktop computers, whether they be Windows or Mac. And the result is that you and or your students can create some amazing interactive activities and actually web pages. So here are a few examples. I just went on the website to the activities page, and you can see there's a whole bunch of examples. Some of these are free and some of them cost money. But I just want to quickly show one example. So here's an example of an activity or a web page, you could consider it to be, made by TinyTap, and I'm just going to click play, and it takes me to the interactive web page. This is page 1. I can then click to go to page 2, and then in this activity I'm supposed to match up the words with the images that are on the screen. So that's just one example of an activity made using TinyTap and playable on a desktop computer or on a mobile device. Let's look now at how to create activities such as this using TinyTap. So here I am on my iPad, and I'm just going to go and open the TinyTap app that I downloaded from the App Store. When you open the app for the first time, you'll probably get a series of pop-ups that will try to teach you some of the features of TinyTap. You can honestly just advance through those or even close the pop-ups until you get to this screen here. And what you see here is a list of activities that are featured or were created by trusted teachers. There's some storybooks, there's some language arts, some math, some music, and some popular activities, games, and books created by TinyTap. And I can tap on any of these to take a look at it. And you can see I can also drag to the left to get even more from each of those categories. So there's the match the consonant digraphs activity. I can just tap on it, and you can see it says get it, and I just tap on get it, and it's going to download that activity to my iPad into TinyTap. Now, every once in a while, you will see an activity that may still say get it right here, but it'll have an asterisk. Typically, that means that it's going to cost you some money. So here's an example. That little asterisk lets you know that in order to access and use this, you're probably going to have to upgrade to a paid version of TinyTap. So I'm not going to get that one in this case. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to know about TinyTap, is that you can open it up to access and download for free lots of different games, activities, and books that were made using TinyTap. Yes, some cost money, but there are many that are free. Now, up at the top, notice that you can also search. So I could just tap there and search for Spanish to see if there are any Spanish-related activities in TinyTap, and yes, there are. There are many. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen that we've been focusing on the Discover section of the app. You can see that Discover is kind of highlighted there at the bottom of the screen. If I tap on Play, this takes you to a list of activities that I have made or that I've collected from other people. And then next to that is Create, and that's what we want to go to now. So I'm going to tap on Create, and it gives me a blank screen. Think of this as page 1 of a digital book or level 1 of a game or activity that you're going to make for your students, or that your students could make as an assignment. Now, in addition to this blank screen, notice that I get a pop-up of creation packs. And what are these creation packs? Basically, they are collections of clip art and images and graphics that you can use in your activities and games. And I can just go down and select one, let's say science. Now, some of these may cost money. You may have to pay or upgrade in order to get access to them, but there are definitely some that are free. So here's one that's been free for a long time. It's the farm animals, And you can see it's got backgrounds, it's got different animals, and they all have kind of a similar look and feel to them. That's why they're part of the creation packs. So let's say I want to create a game that will help my students to learn some of the animal vocabulary in Spanish. I'll start by using this creation pack, and I'll just put in a background. I can just tap, and I'm going to tap right here on this background image. So I tap on it, and it's automatically put onto my page. Next, I'm going to tap on some of the animals here. So I'll tap there, I'll tap there, I'll tap down here on the duck and on the horse. So now I've got a few animals on my screen on level 1. To get rid of that creation pack so I can actually start arranging the items on level 1, all I have to do is tap away from this panel that opened up. I'll just tap right here, and it goes away. Now, all of these animals came in basically the same size and on top of each other. So I just tap on an animal and drag it. I can tap on the duck and drag it, and that duck is a little bit huge. So I'm going to put 2 fingers on the duck and just pinch to shrink the duck down to a more appropriate size. Same with the sheep and the goat a little bit. This also makes room for some of the other items that I would like to add into my game. Now, in addition to shrinking their size by using 2 fingers, you can also use 2 fingers, of course, to make them bigger. Just spread your fingers instead of pinching them. But the other thing you can do is put 2 fingers on an item and then rotate those 2 fingers, and the item will rotate as well. Okay, now let's say either I find a creation pack and it's pretty good, but it doesn't have everything I need, or what if I can't find a creation pack at all to help me teach what I need to teach? Well, if that's the case, all you have to do is go down here to the magnifying glass. Now, if you need to get back into the creation packs at any time, you can. You just click or tap here on the smiley face and you get the creation packs back. But the magnifying glass is amazing. This lets you search online for images that you can use in your TinyTap activities. And the good news for teachers is that this is a filtered search. And so your students are not going to find inappropriate images. At least they're much less likely to find inappropriate images as they're searching in TinyTap. So I just tapped there where it says search for images online, and I'm going to type in bird. I would like a bird image in my activity. So I'm going to tap and hold to prove that I'm a grown-up. And there's a beautiful bird that I would like to use. I just tapped here on this bird and it added it to my activity. Now this would work absolutely fine in my activity, but you probably noticed something that makes it less than ideal, and that is that this bird has a rectangle around it. It just doesn't look quite as good as it would if there were no rectangle and it was just the bird itself. So let me show you a way to solve that problem. If you tap on the search again down here, you can open it up, and I'll still search for bird, but this time I'm going to tap right here where it says transparent. So I tap, and I have to prove that I'm a grown-up by tapping and holding this circle. I'll just browse through these results, and I'm going to select this bird here. I'll just tap on it, and it adds it to my activity. Now, because I selected transparent, look at this bird. That looks just beautiful, so much better, in my opinion, than this other one with the rectangular background. So now I have a little bit of a dilemma. How do I get rid of one of the birds? I don't need 2. The best way to get rid of something that you don't want is to put your finger on it and hold your finger on it. You can even shake it a little bit if you want to, and then just throw the item off your iPad screen and let go. So watch. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I threw it and then I let go, and you saw what happened. It went spinning off the screen. So now I can put the bird where I want it to be. And even though this bird isn't really part of the picture pack, it still, I think, looks great, even though it doesn't quite fit the art style of the other objects in this level. So really, you're not very dependent on these creation packs. You can just tap on the magnifying glass and get great results by searching the internet. Now, there's one other kind of image that you can find through this image search, and that's animated images or animated GIFs. So I'll tap on that, and let's see what we find. This is one of the newer features in TinyTap. It looks like it still found some birds, a few different ones, and I'll just select this one and see what happens. So I just tapped on this bird here, and look at the results. I get an animated bird. How fun is that? Now, the results aren't always 100% what you would expect or what you would want, but in this case, that is kind of a fun bird that I could use in this activity. So I'm going to throw this other bird off the screen, and I will use this animated bird instead. Okay, now there are some other options as well for getting images into your activities. You can tap down here on the camera symbol if you would like, and that allows you to pull in images from your device camera. You could just tap the camera symbol right there, access the device camera, and take a picture. Or your albums that are already on your device, or look, it links to some cloud computing services like OneDrive, Dropbox, Google Drive, even iCloud. Now, there's two other things you need to know about as far as designing your screen visually. There at the left, you can see that there are two A's. If you tap on those A's, it gives you some text, and it's usually just some random text, and then you can erase it and put in your own text that you would like to put into your activities, games, or books, whatever it might be. You can see that there are some font options that you can change the colors and the font types and stuff like that, but I'm just going to stick with what I have there, and I'll tap and move that where I want it to be. Just like with the pictures, I can rotate with 2 fingers, I can make it bigger or smaller, and I can put it exactly where I'd like it to be. There's one last visual element aspect to TinyTap that you need to know, and that is at the very bottom there is what looks like a paintbrush. And if you tap on that paintbrush, it gives you a variety of art tools. You can use chalk, pencil, paintbrush, pen, all these different tools. And then you can also select a color. So I'm going to get white as my color, and I could put in another cloud or two. It's kind of fun to create my own clouds there. Okay, so let's say I'm done actually designing this level 1 of my game, and I don't really need that one day, so I'm going to throw that off screen. But now I would like to add the interactive elements of my game. Or again, it could be an activity or a book. But I'll just tap Add Activity there in the upper right corner. I'll tap on that, and then I'll tap Next. And it takes me to a screen that shows me the activity types that I can add to this level or page that I've been working on. Probably the most commonly used one, and one of the most powerful for teachers, is this one, Ask a Question. So I'll just tap Ask a Question. So I would like to ask my students to identify these animals, but I want to just use Spanish, and they'll have to understand my Spanish and then tap on the right object. So to do this, I just tap Record Question. And then I have to, of course, be aware of where my microphone is on my iPad. It's very important that you not cover up the microphone or rub it with your hand, because it will ruin the recording and make it sound awful. So I'll go ahead and tap Record Question. ¿Dónde está el pato? Then I tapped Stop. And now I just need to identify where el pato is. And pato is duck in Spanish. And so I will just select around that duck using my finger. I traced around it. And now I will just tap that check mark. And I have created question number 1, and I've put in what the correct answer is. Now I can also tap where it says question 1. And I could edit the name of the question. Instead of calling it question 1, I could call it El Pato or Animal Number 1 or whatever I want to call it. In this case, I don't care so much about that. But I also have these other exciting options. I can record what they call the answer and also the mistake. And what this really is, though, is this is positive feedback for when the students get the answer right. And this is negative feedback when they get it wrong. So I'll tap where it says record answer. Excelente. So that's a little bit of feedback, excellent. And then I'll record feedback for when they get it wrong. No, lo siento, eso no es correcto. And then I'll tap stop. So you can see that this is very powerful. You can give some feedback to your students. You can also, if they get it wrong, you could point them in the right direction. You could tell them what the right answer is or give them hints that will point them in that direction. If you need to, you can tap here to hear your recording and see if you want to re-record. But I'm happy with this, so I'll just tap done, and question number 1 is finished. I can now move on and add question number 2 and record my question. I could say, where's the bird? ¿Dónde está el ave? And then I tap stop and I trace the bird. Tap the check mark here and I'm done. And so you would just repeat that until you have all of the questions that you would like for this level of your game or activity. When you're finished, just tap done in the upper left, and you're done with level 1. Now I could move on and create level 2. Maybe I would like to have a scene in the jungle and have jungle animals in there. To do that, I would just move on here where it says add photo, and I would tap on that, and this is now level 2 of my game. And for this one, I'm going to go down and choose in this dinosaur picture pack. I'm going to choose something like a jungle as my background. But again, remember, you can just search the internet if you don't see a picture pack that has the image or the background that you want. Okay, and give me a minute to add some animals into this activity. Okay, so I've added 3 animals into this level of the game. So of course I could go on and add the same kind of activity by tapping Add Activity in the upper right and then tapping Next. I could choose to make this another question-based level of my game. But there's all of these other options as well. Let me just briefly describe some of these. We have create a soundboard, and the soundboard is almost the exact opposite of what we did here in level 1. In level 1, the teacher's voice came up and said, "Where's the duck? Where's the sheep? Where's the bird?" And then the students have to tap on the right answer. With a soundboard, it's the exact opposite. The students tap first. So let's say the student taps on the bird. Then my voice is played and it would say El Ave. So basically, create a soundboard creates a learning experience for the player or the person using the activity. They can tap on what they want to tap on and then they hear a voice that goes with it. You can also cut a shape puzzle. So I can organize a screen and then chop it up into puzzle pieces that the students will have to put back together. That's also how you could create a matching type activity, like the example that I showed at the beginning of this video, where there were little rectangles cut out and the player had to drag those into the right spots on the screen. You can also make it so that it plays a video on a level or on a page. Now keep in mind, you can't add more than one activity per page in TinyTap or per level in TinyTap. So if I'm going to put a video here, it needs to be the only one of these activities on that level. Now I could create another level to do something else, but each of these levels or pages can only have one type of activity. The last one on this list is say something, and what that does is it just narrates whatever is on the page. And so this is great for creating digital books or narrated books. The students design a page and then they tap say something and record themselves reading the book, reading the page. So it's just an audio that plays without interaction. The one that I skipped is one of the better options. It's tap and type. So I'm going to tap on that to show it to you. And what I would like to do is make it so that the students have to type in the name of each of these animals in Spanish. So I'm going to create a little space here above the tiger for the students to type their answer. And now I can tap that little plus sign that appeared in the upper right, and I can enter correct answers in this space provided here. So I just tapped in that space and I'll put in tigre. Okay, that's one correct answer. But another correct answer is el tigre. And so I'll put in a comma and then I'll type el tigre. So that's another correct answer. And then I could put a comma and then put in other possible correct answers. But I'll leave it at that. Next, I tap start recording. How do you say tiger in Spanish? Then I tapped stop. There's the correct answer, or one of them, and the students in this case will have to produce the answer. It's not just about identifying the answer by tapping on it. Instead, they'll have to actually type the correct answer and spell it correctly. And so that's what tap and type is. Now I could move on and create a little box here for el serpiente and for el mono, and just tap the plus sign, and I could repeat these steps if I want to. But tap and type is one of the newer options in TinyTap, and it's really a great option. When you're done, just tap done to get back to this screen. Now, if this was really a game that I was going to use with my students, I would tap on add photo again, and I would want to create a title screen for my game. So I'll just tap add photo. Maybe I'll just put in a background and some text, and I'll call this maybe Los Animales. When I'm done, I just tap away from the box, like over here, and there's my title. I could move it with my finger, make it bigger if I need to, and I really probably should put in a background with some animals, but I'm not going to do that at this point in time. Now, if I go back in the upper right and tap Add Activity, and then Next, Notice the problem. I have, yes, a title screen, but it's third in my list of screens. Well, all you have to do to fix that is tap and hold on a particular level or screen or page, whatever you want to call it, and then drag it to where you want it to be. So this is how you can reorder. Tap and hold, and then move the level to where you want it to be. Okay, let's pretend that I'm finished with this game and I'd like people to be able to play it. I should go up to the top where it says game's name, and I should type in Los Animales again. Next up, I have some options. Here in the upper right, I have some game elements. If I tap on that, I can enable challenge mode, which makes it so that I can add a time limit into this game. And I can decide to add that time limit to this particular activity or to the whole game. So is the time limit per activity of 5 seconds? That's pretty short. I might want to tap there and change it to 5 minutes or to 30 seconds, something a little bit more manageable. You can also go to game and make the time limit for the entire game a certain amount. You can also add lives to the game so that the students can only answer incorrectly 3 times in this case, or 5 times, or whatever you want to set that to be. And so challenge mode makes it a little bit more game-like. You can also tap here on the music symbol to put in some music. Now, if at any point you decide you need to go back and work on some of these levels, you can just tap this edit button in the upper right and then tap on the level or page that you would like to edit. So I can just tap on that one and it gets me back into the level in edit mode so I can make some changes. I'll tap done to go back because we need to look at one more option before we finish. And that is here at the left, there's a play button. And this play button is a way to get a quick look at how your game is coming together. Now I decided to add a recording to my title so that it says Los Animales on this screen. I just added a say something activity onto the page and tapped done. Okay, so now I think I'm done with my activity and I would like to try it out to see what I have. Now at any point in the creation process you can do this. You don't have to wait until the very end. But I'll just tap that play button in the upper left corner. Just tap on that. And the game starts up. So I can tap El Pato. I'll tap El Ave. And now I tap where it has the tiger symbol. And I type in the correct answer, tap done. You can see that it calculates a score for me. And then I'm done with the activity. So that's what the experience will be like for students. So I love this, that you can test out your game at any time here in the upper left. Now when you are completely satisfied and done with your activity, you're finished creating it and you'd like other people to be able to play it, you just go here to the upper right and tap on this share symbol. When you tap on it, it loads up a screen where you can put in a description and you can explain, what it will help the students learn or what the purpose is of this particular activity. Underneath that, you should categorize your game. You put in a recommended age and the language, and then you decide if you would like this activity to be public or private. Now with the free TinyTap account, it has to be public. If you tap that and want to make it private, it will try to sell you on an upgrade. So I'm just going to tap out of that by tapping that X. The other option is, it looks like an edit button. You can make this editable for other people so that people can copy your TinyTap activity and make it their own and change it for them. It won't affect yours, but it'll affect their copy of your game. I may not want that. I might not want other people to be able to edit my game. Next, I just tap save, prove that I'm a grown-up, and it is packaging this game and it's saving it to my free online TinyTap account. Now, if you don't have a TinyTap account or you're not signed into it currently, sometime around this point it would ask you to sign up for a free account. You sign up and it's a very short sign up process, and then it will let you save this activity into your free storage on the tinytap.it website. And at that point, once it finishes saving, you have created an interactive web page that anyone in the world can access, whether it be on a Windows computer, on a Mac, on a Chromebook, or on a mobile device, as long as they have the TinyTap app. So if someone has an Android tablet or an iPad, they would just install the TinyTap app, and then they could search for the name of the game that you made or for the author's name, and it should bring up the activity, game, or book that you've created. Okay, it looks like it's finished uploading, and now this activity is ready to be played. Let's look now at my computer screen and the website tinytap.it, and you'll see that this activity is now ready online to be played. So here on tinytap.it, I just clicked on activities to get to this page, and then here at the right there is a search, and I or anyone else can click there and type in los animales, and it should find the activity that I've just created. There it is, and anyone can click on it, click play, and the activity loads up, and there's my game. So I hope you'll check out TinyTap and learn how to use it to create interactive games, activities, and even digital books for your students to use. And also, I would encourage you to let your students create their own TinyTap activities, and they would create the educational resources for you instead of the other way around. Thanks for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel for more videos about technology for teachers and students. And if you have any suggestions for other videos you would like me to make, please leave them in the comments below.